Hello again, I'm Rodney Reynolds with 3GameMan.com and welcome to another video review. Today I'm looking at the Cooler Master Silent Pro Hybrid 1050 watt power supply. Now how this power supply differs from a lot of other ones currently on the market, and there are plenty of power supplies on the market, it's hard to choose really, but this one has a 200 watt fanless mode. Pretty neat. Also a single plus 12 volt rail, as well as a fan controller. That's included with the power supply. Now as you can see, the box itself is pretty attractive looking, has all kinds of features and specifications about the product on the box, as well as plenty of pictures. So if you're picking this up in store, well, there's lots of information on the box to help you decide. If you're picking it up online, well, it doesn't really matter a whole lot. They have this protective plastic on the outside. Now let's open the box and see what's inside. Lots of foam. Limited warranty card. User's manual. This is the fan controller. You've got some leads here for connecting the fan controller into the power supply, as well as screws for mounting the fan controller in the case. Also some power cables for connecting the fans and the power supply. Notice that the power supply as well as the fan controller are both in bags to protect them. And a pouch which has the power cord in it, plus all kinds of modular cables. Now, let's have a closer look at this power supply. And by the way, they do include 4 black screws for mounting the power supply in the case. The Silent Pro Hybrid series of power supplies are currently available in 3 wattages, 850, 1050, and 1300. I'll be reviewing the 1050 watt model today. Now, how is this wattage determined? Well, to understand that, you need to know what rails are. And rails are basically well-regulated transformers which convert domestic current into the voltages that your computer system can use. And there are essentially 2 different rails, the 3.3/5 volt rail and the 12 volt rail. In this particular case, the approximate maximum peak output of the 3.3/5 volt rail is 150 watts, and the 12 volt is 984 watts, which is essentially how the wattage of this power supply is determined. The 3.3/5 volt rail is responsible for the motherboard, memory, PCI cards, and so on, while the 12 volt rail is responsible for the hard drives, optical drives, fans, CPU, video cards, etc. It's also important to know the peak amps on each rail. Well, the plus 3.3 volt rail is 22 amps, the plus 5 volt rail is 25 amps, and there's a single plus 12 volt rail, and that's 82 amps. There are a number of important things to remember when selecting a power supply. The first is wattage. Determine how much wattage you're going to require by the amount of hardware that you will be installing. Generally speaking, a medium to high-end gaming rig would require a 500 to 700 watt power supply. For a hardcore system, select a power supply that's around 800 watts. If, however, you are building an extreme gaming rig with a top-of-the-line multiple video card setup with lots of other hardware, select a power supply that's 1000 watts or greater. Second, it should be at or above 80% efficient at typical load. The efficiency of this power supply is 90% at typical load. Third, it should meet the latest ATX and other current standards, environmental directives, overvoltage, undervoltage, and other protections. This power supply meets all current standards. Fourth, I'd recommend choosing a power supply that has APFC. APFC, or active power factor correction, assists the power supply in being more efficient and therefore stable under load. APFC basically reduces total harmonics, corrects input voltage, and allows for full input voltage range. Thankfully, this power supply has APFC. Fifth, there are three main certifications: 80 Plus, NVIDIA SLI, and ATI Crossfire. Many of today's high-end power supplies meet one or more of these certifications. This power supply is certified to meet 80 Plus Gold requirements. Sixth, look for a power supply that uses Japanese capacitors. This ensures a much more reliable product than a power supply with low-grade capacitors. Thankfully, this power supply does use Japanese brand capacitors. Finally, select a power supply that has enough leads for your setup. Also consider a power supply with a modular design because it reduces the cable mess inside of the case. Also, it's important to get a power supply with a fantastic warranty. And this power supply does. It comes with a 5-year warranty. This power supply has a silver, gray, black theme. The paint job is rough, which is very, very nice. The fan grill is recessed, and note it's brushed aluminum on the outside and mesh in the middle. They include a 135mm hydraulic dynamic bearing fan, so this fan and the many ventilation holes ensures that this power supply remains cool in almost any environment. Here's the power switch and the power cord connection. There are many so-called modular power supplies on the market, but there are very few power supplies that are completely 100% modular. This one is, and it also includes lots of modular leads. And note that most of these modular leads are flat and flexible. And let's face it, modular leads are fantastic because you only need to use the ones required for your particular setup, no more. And this reduces the cable mess inside of the case. It also increases airflow. Now, this power supply is jam-packed full of fantastic technologies, but let me hit on a few of the key ones. One of them being the hybrid transformer. Now, this is unlike any other power supply currently on the market. It does improve thermal performance and efficiency substantially. The size actually was reduced by around 25% over traditional transformers, which you'll find in other power supplies. And this provides less power consumption while conducting the heat for better overall efficiency. Another technology is HHT, or heat transfer technology. This is basically an L-shaped heatsink that's orientated in a way that it improves air circulation and thus will improve the heatsink's performance. Many of today's power supplies have some kind of eco mode, and this one does as well. And hyperpath, which is basically a hyperlink between the transformer and the components. It is super efficient. The signal can be transferred directly without any energy loss. Now let's have a quick peek at the fan controller. The left knob controls the fan on the power supply. The right knob controls the system fan. And there's a switch right here where you can set it to manual or automatic. On the back, you can connect 3 fans, 3 pins. As well, here is where the fan controller gets connected into the power supply. And this gets installed at the front of the case in a 5¼ inch drive bay. And now listen as I increase the speed on the fan. It's very good to see innovation in the power supply market because, for the most part, power supplies are power supplies. But power supplies are extremely important. As a matter of fact, it is probably the most important part in your computer system. Now, how this one stands out from many others is its fanless mode. It also comes with a single plus 12-volt rail as well as a fan controller. You can control the speed of the fan in the power supply as well as the system fan or fans if you want to. Not only that, this is 100% modular and looks fantastic as well. Comes with a very quiet fan. Overall, this is a 100% kick-ass product. Until next time, take care.